how you doing? So until recently, I've never read a Wonder Woman solo series. Any comic that I've read with her in it is some sort of team-up book or issue, like Justice League for example. I just didn't know what series I should check out to get into the character. Now I could have started with George Perez's Wonder Woman series since he played a big part in revitalizing the character, but I decided to start with something a bit more recent, that being Wonder Woman by Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chiang. Apologies if I butchered that last name. I own the omnibus that includes all 35 issues, plus 3 additional issues, and read this entire book in 2 days. That's right, I finished this hefty book in 2 days. And my god, this is one heck of an introduction to Wonder Woman and her mythos. I did some research before starting this series, and I know that Perez really introduced the Greek mythology to Wonder Woman, but Azzarello really dived into the mythology throughout the series, introducing characters such as Hera, Aphrodite, Apollo, Athena, Zeus, and the whole pantheon. We also see locations such as Olympus and Hell, and at first this was a lot to take in as a Wonder Woman newbie, but as I continued to read through the series, I got used to absorbing all of this new information and lore the series is constantly feeding you. Speaking of lore, let's discuss the story. The main thread throughout the series is Diana protecting a pregnant woman named Zola from Hera and other members of the pantheon, as the baby is the last descendant of Zeus, and there's a prophecy that the child will kill all of the gods and be the sole king of Olympus. Zeus is also dead, which leaves the throne open for his descendants to fight over. It gets even more complicated as Diana is actually a descendant of Zeus and Hippolyta, making her a demigod, and the whole Clay story is a lie made up to protect Diana from Hera, who is killing all of Zeus's descendants that aren't related to her, as apparently Zeus liked to sleep around with people that wasn't his wife. And after Hera finds out that Diana is the daughter of Zeus, she turns Hippolyta into stone and the rest of the Amazons into snakes. So Diana essentially goes to war with Hera and tries to make a deal with Poseidon and Hades to get them to marry Hera, but it's revealed to be just a trick, so Diana can go to Olympus and smash Hera's magic mirror that allows her to see whatever she wants. Poseidon is amused by the trick and does not retaliate, but Hades strikes back by dragging Zola into hell, and he won't release her until Diana gets him a wife. So she, along with Lennox, her half-brother, and Hermes go to Hephaestus, who makes Diana some new armor and weapons. And after gearing up, she and Hermes go to hell to fight some ghouls and find Zola, who is now months ahead in her pregnancy because time moves differently in hell. Hades shows up and Diana makes a trade offer for Zola and Eros' pistols. Hades accepts the offer, then shoots Diana in her chest and lets Zola and Hermes escape. Hades arranges for Diana to get married and invites all of the gods, but the only ones who show up are Strife, Hephaestus, Eros, and Lennox. Diana makes her escape, and after a long speech about how she loves everyone, Hades lets Diana and the others leave. After that's all settled, Hera decides to strike back by making a deal with Apollo and Artemis, where if they can bring her Zola, then she'll let Apollo claim the throne. They fulfill their part of the bargain and bring Zola to Olympus, where Hera then throws her off the mountain, but Diana shows up in the nick of time to save her. Apollo sits on the throne and strips Hera of her status and makes her immortal and sends her to Earth. Zola gives birth to her baby with the help of Hermes, who then abducts the child and takes him to Demeter. So Diana seeks out the help of her other half-siblings and Orion to find Zola's son. And with some help from War, aka Ares, she's able to rescue the child. Also, Zeus's firstborn child has resurfaced after being banished to the center of the earth and plans on killing all of the gods, but in order to do so, he needs to find Zeus's lastborn child, which just so happens to be Zola's child. The firstborn tries to abduct Zeke, but his attempt is thwarted by Orion, who brings the group to New Genesis. After Diana recovers, the group heads back to Earth, and they immediately have to fight the firstborn and his army of hyenas. War shows up to help Diana by bringing an army of ghost warriors, and he gets indirectly killed by Diana. And since Diana was the one to deal the deadly blow, she becomes the new god of war. The firstborn is defeated and brought to Olympus by Apollo, but things don't remain quiet for long as the firstborn breaks free and kills Apollo and claims the throne for himself. So full-on war breaks out, and Hera gets her status of goddess reinstated and gets her powers back. Hera reverts the Amazons back to their original form, but she can't free Hippolyta. Diana leaves Zola and Zeke in the hands of the Amazons and goes to fight the firstborn by herself. She tries her best to defeat him, but she's unable to, and he goes to Themyscira and continues the assault on the city. Things start to look desperate for Zola and Zeke, but Zeke uses his powers to free Hippolyta. Diana is able to recover and gather her strength, and the fight goes back to Olympus. Diana is able to defeat the firstborn by tossing him into an abyss, and Zola puts Zeke on the throne, making him the new king of Olympus. And it's revealed that Zeke is actually the reincarnation of Zeus, and that Zola has been possessed by the goddess Athena, the daughter of Zeus, meaning that Athena technically gave birth to her own father. This run just got a whole lot weirder. Athena leaves Zola's body, and the story ends there. I have some thoughts to talk about, starting with the story and series as a whole, and I think it's amazing. Azzarello and co were able to make this series feel like one big cohesive story. With other series, it's very easy to separate it into different arcs, like the New 52 Batman series for example, but each volume of this series feels like one large chapter in the grander story. While there were certain parts that began to lose my interest, it quickly dragged me back in. Having the series focus on the Greek mythology around Wonder Woman was a bit daunting at first, since it's been a few years since I last studied it, but over the course of the series, it became easier for me to digest the different ideas and characters that the series explores. Speaking of characters, this series does a great job of making me invested in each one. Even Hera, who I hated at the beginning of the series, started to grow on me as the series went on. My favorite character in the series is Hermes. I liked his helpful and caring personality, which only made his eventual betrayal hurt even more. Diana is great of course, and she's a believable protagonist. She gets hurt, she gets defeated, and she is flawed, but she's able to recover from the losses she faces and eventually overcome them. Her fights against the Firstborn is a great example of this. She was essentially defeated after their first meeting and had to recover a new Genesis. The next time they fought, she inadvertently killed Ares, and then she lost again during their initial fight at Olympus. But by the end, she was able to defeat the Firstborn and rise up to the title of God of War. The artwork is also fantastic. It took me a minute to get used to it as it is very stylized, but once I warmed up to the art style, it became very immersive. It's even better in the annuals that retell older unused stories, as it lends itself more easily to older style comic aesthetic with a bit of modern polish. Overall, this series is a beautiful journey that draws me into its world and characters and makes me want to check out some of the other series. So if you have any recommendations, then leave them in the comments below. But those are just my thoughts. Be sure to let me know your thoughts on the series in the comments below. Do you love it or do you hate it? And I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.